Hi everyone, Diana Haley, back with the final chapter of Uta Hagen's A Challenge for the Actor. We made it, I made it, yay! So last time we were into chapter 24, Scoring the Role, and I only did the first 3 steps of the previous questions found back in chapter 10 that we covered. This is just a more thorough investigation of those questions. So with that, we will start with part 2. So let's begin. Okay, so part 4 is what do I want? She puts I in the quotes as in myself as the character, but I refer to the character as me. So what do I want? What does the character want? What do I want? What is the immediate need? And that's the first question. A lot of the times I see acting teachers start out with the second question first, which is, what is the main objective? No. The thing is about main objectives is that's kind of like having a goal, but without any steps to get there. So that's what the immediate need is. So if you figure out what your immediate needs are, it allows for the goal to either be more dignified, I want to say, or it allows that goal to change. Sometimes that main objective does change, and that's what makes it really interesting. And so if your first idea is just to find the main objective and then that's it, and then that's it for the work, that's literally going to be it for your work. Then there's no arch, there's no dynamics or anything like that. You want to keep that open mind. Okay, so we start out with what is the immediate need. She says the sources of an individual's needs and desires lie in the nature of his upbringing and the society that has helped to shape his character. In other words, who I am is blank, and this is my need because of this. So for example, if there's a story about somebody who wants to completely renew the street that they grew up on because it was a really hard street to live on, but the mom that lives there that brought you up there just doesn't want to move, and this is her home and everything, but you feel like this home could be better. So that could be your main objective. What is your immediate need though? So your immediate needs, you would go, okay, how do I fund this project? I need volunteers. I need, A, B, C, D, E, whatever. And so because of your upbringing, this is what's important to you now. And so it leads to your main objective. What did I say? Oh, geez. Okay, so I brought up another one besides a movie. It's kind of like when you're playing a video game and you've definitely, you want to win the game. You are playing to win the game, but there are certain steps, there are certain even small quests or something like that that you need to conquer first before you can get to the main event or the boss level or whatever it is. Yeah, I thought that was cute. Okay, moving on. What is in my, she does the quote thing again. What is in my way? So, what is my obstacle and how do I overcome it? Along the way of us getting our immediate needs fulfilled, there's obviously going to be obstacles. What's in your way, and then how do you overcome it? So that one's a big one. She says, find this by figuring out your character as yourself, who they are, where they've come from, and their relationships to others. So sometimes your relationships to others can get in the way of you getting to your immediate need being fulfilled. So for example, say you go to your sister to help you fund this project. Your sister's not quite on board, but you really need her to be on board. And so that'll make an interesting dynamic into a scene where not only are you trying to convince her to help you get the funding for this big project that you're looking at, but then you're also kind of questioning, like, am I as close to her? Is she as close to me? Is this going to work out? Like, is this going to spread us apart? Then the stakes are higher. Then it makes the scene that much more interesting, and there's a lot more dynamic going on into the scene there. She kind of, Uta Hagen brings up this question, which I've never questioned before until now, or maybe I didn't realize it when I was doing it. But if you question, like, is there always an obstacle? She says yes, that there is always an obstacle. There's always, it doesn't necessarily mean conflict. I don't want you to get confused, obstacle with conflict, because an obstacle can be something that you can easily overcome without it being so negative, without the scene or the story getting so dark, like where every time you're on the camera, like you're screaming or you're angry, or, you know, whatever your go-to is for the darker side of scenes. Yeah, obstacles are not always, they're not always conflicts. You know, if you, and two, and I just thought of this, if you think of an obstacle or even a conflict as an obstacle, you know that there's some way, somehow you can overcome it, or there's a way around it, or something where you can just get past it somehow. It may be difficult, but you're gonna get past it somehow. If you think of a conflict, it almost, I feel like in your head, thinking of a conflict just as a conflict and not as an obstacle, it makes you feel trapped. Like there's no way around it. Like there's just no defeating it. You know, if a conflict is always a conflict, then there's always a conflict. But if you view conflicts as obstacles, then there's ways around them. And that's usually what happens in stories, right? Like we see a conflict between two characters, but then somehow it gets overcome, somehow. Whether it is like an action-related scene fight, or whether it's an emotional crying scene, or even in comedy. You know, we see it all the time in comedy too, where, you know, two characters might be bantering back and forth, and then there kind of comes a conflict, but at some point or another, there's some kind of resolve. There's always an opportunity somewhere, and you remember that for improv as well. Okay. Then she says it's the doing within a script. I keep doing this. Okay. It's the doing within a script. And so she emphasizes more on what we talked about previously with the lines is content. Reading the content of the lines, it allows you to kind of do more things as opposed to saying more things. And this doing, whatever it is, whatever you figured out for your character, this doing of more things is what's going to help you get over that obstacle, regardless of the relationships that you have, that she mentions right here. Okay, number 6, or part 6. This is the last part of the questions. Yay. What do I do to get what I want? This is usually the second question that I see, as opposed to the last main question that a lot of acting teachers do. They go, what's the main objective? How do I get what I want? It just skips over everything. And I don't know. This is the way, y'all. This is just the way. Okay. Do is the key word, the action of doing, of course. So I would say it's the second do in that question. So what do I do to get what I want? I feel like the do in the first do is like almost like a noun, and then the second one is an actual verb. We are actors. We do the verb thing. And she suggests, and I think she said this in a chapter before, to cross out words like angrily, furiously, happily, sadly, frustratingly. I see that a lot in scripts. And she says you will do those things intuitively if you feel it within the script. So I think that's another Uta Hagen trick, where like if you feel like your actor, or sorry, like your character or you would do this thing in a particular way. You would deliver this line in a particular way. It's not because you think your character would do it. It's because as you're doing it, as you're performing it, it's what your intuition just tells you to do. I remember this one time I was on set, and that's weird, I think I brought this up before too, where I was on set and I was playing a doctor, and one of the things that I did, I just kind of did it. I didn't really realize what I was doing when I was doing it, but I walked around my desk, and then I picked up my book and I looked at it, and then I just like slammed it, and just like, it was like I just didn't know what came over me to do something like that, but they absolutely loved it. And they were like, we don't know where that came from, but that was great. And I was just like, totally planned it, yeah. Anyway, so follow your intuition as well, especially when you're delivering your lines and things like that, but also know your content. Know where your character is going. Know the relationships that you have present with you in the room, and also your environment. That's a big, huge thing. Like, you don't want to do something where you don't want to reveal a secret about yourself when your boss is around the corner, and I mean, if you're going to do that, you're probably going to whisper it. You're not going to like go, I can't believe I did, like you don't want to do that. So be aware of your environment, be aware of the relationships that you have around you, as well as your main objective, but first consider your immediate needs. That'll get you to that main objective, unless it should change because you realize one of your relationships is not indeed what you think it is. Okay, last thing. Final actions and executions are chosen on an intuitive level. That's kind of like what I explained. Oh, yes. And now I'm going to read you the last paragraph of the book, because I think it's just beautiful the way that she concludes this final lesson. I mean, the whole book is beautiful regardless, but you know what I mean. Nope, that's not it. There it is. Plato, however you pronounce it, potato. Plato says to be is to do. To be, like being present, or to be called of a profession. To be is to do. I keep this always in mind when working on a role. I must hunt for everything that will give me knowledge and faith in who I am. Then I will discover what I do. I reserve Socrates' maximum, to do is to be, for my performance, knowing that what I do is proof of who I am. It's beautiful. Okay, everybody, so that's it for my Uta Hagen series. I've got a couple of things that I am planning on maybe doing for like another set of series that I have going on. I hope that with this book that's really, really hard to find these days, I really hope that I helped some actors out there. I know how difficult it can be to not have funds for training and not be able to have like a little bit more thorough book knowledge about what it is that we love to do so much. So I hope I helped some of you out. It sure has helped me. Yeah, that's about it. It's helped me a lot, so I hope it's helped you a lot.